Enemy of the State is a 1998 film directed by Tony Scott. It stars Will Smith, Gene Hackman, Jon Voight, and a bunch of kind of relative newcomers. I say relative because, during that time period, that's when they were really starting to really make splashes and make waves in films. Like, some of those people include Scott Caan, Jake Busey, Jack Black. We get this pretty complex film in a similar vein as lots of those 70s paranoid thrillers like The Conversation and 3 Days of Condor. He tries to make sure that his style and his whole directing shtick is appropriate for the material. Because, let's face it, lots of directors, they do their own thing just because it's what people know them for. But with Tony Scott in Enemy of the State, you can tell that he was really making a good effort to have it substance over style. And I think he does succeed in that regard. This movie is all about surveillance and Big Brother, Brave New World kind of thing, where the surveillance it's just everywhere. And Jon Voight is this politician. He's really trying to implement all of this. Kills a fellow congressman. Unbeknownst to him, there's one guy who accidentally records everything. He happens to be a bird watcher, but he records things. Goes on the run, slips a thing in Will Smith's bag. Will Smith is this attorney. Throughout the rest of the film, you have all these assassins, all these crooked people trying to destroy Will Smith. He tries to really get out of everything, but it just takes a toll on his professional and his personal life. And furthermore, he has to deal with these mobsters. But, there's all this new political things happening that, it's like Will Smith really can't win. And that's one of the things I loved about this film. I love it when thrillers and really any kind of film really have you wondering, how's this guy supposed to win? How can he possibly get out of this thing alive? Now, a lot of people, they think that Enemy of the State, you have to turn your brain off for it. They think that it's totally hokey, totally stupid, but maybe it's just me, maybe whatever, but I thought that this was actually a pretty smart film. I mean, there's a couple of unrealistic aspects to it, with chasing all over everywhere, but still, the way that the world is going right now, this movie seemed pretty far ahead of its time, and I do think that what we get in Enemy of the State is pretty wild, and I liked what I was seeing. It was very smart. As an early Will Smith film, there's some comedy bits here and there, and the comedy in this movie didn't really seem very forced, which I loved. You can really tell whenever you're watching an action film or a thriller and someone says a deadpan one-liner and it just doesn't sound good. But here, the comedy actually does work. And that was one of Will Smith's big things from back in the 90s was his comedy. So yes, this movie may not really be a comedy film. The little bits comedy relief that we have, it's perfect. It was fine. But ultimately, the way that everything comes together and with this really intricate plot and all these characters and stuff, yes, it's wild, but it's extremely satisfying. And eventually, when we get to meet Gene Hackman and learn about his past and how his 1974 masterpiece, The Conversation, may tie into this film, it's well, this is awesome. I love it. Yeah, I do think that this movie still is underrated, and that when it came out in 1998, way ahead of its time. So I want to give Enemy of the State from 1998 3.5 stars out of 4. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again next time.